about last game and then preview the Bears and then any questions. So just looking at trends of our last 2 wins and some, a couple of things came up from the Raiders and the Chargers. The first one is, we had 0 defensive penalties. So, playing very cleanly, 5 sacks, pressuring, hitting the quarterback, 20-plus turnbacks in both of those games. And then we put the fire out. So you talk about playing complementary ball. When the offense turned the ball over in both of those games, one was a 3-and-out and the other one was a interception. Then the offense got the ball back and went and scored. So that's everybody playing together. A couple guys that really highlight from this last game, D.A., J.K., Johnny, I thought he played really well. Trey and Bobby, those guys, graded out really, really good. The game didn't start quite the way we wanted it to start. We pressured on the 3rd down. The quarterback got out. The next 3rd down we pressured also and got picked on a crosser. Changed it up to a little bit more simulators and zones, and then the rush came to life. The quarterback had to hold the ball. The coverage on the back end was good. So that was, and then we, finished the game with no more points given up, and that's really what it's about, not giving up points. And the hold that offense at 10 was pretty good. Moving forward to Chicago, it starts with the play caller. I think Benz is excellent. He does a nice job of testing you vertically and horizontally and testing your eyes. This is another eye discipline type game. He has a very talented quarterback that can make every throw. He's elite at his escapability and the ability to run and throw from different platforms. He doesn't have to be standing in the pocket. He can launch the ball from different arm angles, and his feet doesn't necessarily have to be set for him to throw the ball very accurately. They have skilled players that they use in a number of different ways. OZ in the slot, he's slot option. He's very good at creating on 3rd down, 15 over the top, big, strong, young kid that can go. And then Moore have a history of him. He's a lot like Debo. They put him in the backfield. They'll put him back there and let him run the ball, throw screens to him. So all their eligibles are very, very good players. And they're going to stress the ball, like I said, horizontally and vertically. And he's a really not gimmicky scheme, but trick plays are going to be alive, so we have to make sure we're true with our eyes. All right, any questions?
Caleb, obviously you want to try and keep in the pocket. You also want to apply pressure. What's the challenge with rushing guy, like you said, that has that kind of escapability?
You have to make sure you take one more step to him. You can't just assume that you're going to get him down with any arm tackling. You have to get your body to him because he has a tremendous kick through where he can pull his legs out. Big guys fall off of him. So, not only do you have to cage him, but you have to make sure you're bringing extra bodies to him.
And then with the coverage last week, we talked a lot about communication, eye discipline, all that. How did you feel it was last week overall?
I thought the coverage was fine. We got picked on the 1 3rd down. There was another one. We had a sack and they had a free runner. Number 9 was up the sideline. That was disappointing to see that because it was the same switch vertical play that we gave up against Green Bay. So the exact same play. They copied it and just the opposite guy was open. So that was disappointing. But other than that, I thought the guys covered well.
The fact that the guys were able to overcome some of their early mistakes and bounce back and have a really solid performance over the last 3 quarters, do you take positives from that, or?
Yeah, you take positives. We went in there with one game plan and that wasn't working, so we adjusted really quickly and it brought the guys to life. We still were aggressive. We didn't just get into and just didn't play zone the whole time. We brought simulators and changed the picture up for the quarterback to make him hold the ball, and those guys rushed well. So it was a combination of, all right, we got out of some of the man pressures and got into some more simulators or zone pressures, and the guys adjusted really well, really quickly, and they brought the game to life. We ran and hit really well.
Mm-hmm. I know you've spoken highly of Daron Payne this season, mm-hmm. but what is he doing, I guess, not differently from last season, but what is he really doing well that's helped him play to this level?
Well, it's I think you have to talk about the whole D-line crew and start with Tap and Sharif and Ryan, where we changed a lot of the techniques that we played last year, especially in the run game, to this year. And it was challenging for them as coaches because it was totally different than what we did last year. And I take my hat off to those guys because they were not only willing to do it, they ran with it. And so I think that in the techniques that we're coaching now up front are more in Payne's wheelhouse of what he is used to doing. And so that's the first thing. And then collectively as a whole D-line crew, they're just playing more together. And so when they're playing more together, now his ability has been able to shine through a lot more.
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
In talking about Johnny Newton, what have you seen from him as far as his growth, as far as him stepping up each week that you like?
Yeah, his confidence has really grown, okay? I think it's been good to have Eddie here and Ken Law and Sheldon. Those guys really teach him the finer nuances of the game, so his confidence is growing. And so now he's playing fast. He's not thinking anymore. He's just being explosive. The guy that you saw coming from Illinois, you see that now out of him because he's playing with the confidence. He's not second-guessing himself.
And looking back at last week a little bit and carrying it over to this week, what did you like about the tackling, the execution, the energy that you saw from this defense last week?
Yeah, the tackling can improve, okay? I still don't think we've had a tackling game where from a missed tackle standpoint, but what I do like, you see multiple people going, so when somebody does miss, there's somebody else coming right there hitting them. We had, I think it was 21 turnbacks this game. 21. So, it's tackle behind the line of scrimmage or their head was going back that way. Whenever you get over 20, that's where you want to be. And so I was pleased with that, but just the isolated misses, we have to do better. One more step to the tackle and make sure we wrap.
Hey, Coach, so kind of along those lines, I know Coach Quinn talks a lot about, September football, October football. So from an October football perspective, what are some things you definitely want to see already from last week and starting this week going forward?
Well, the consistency, all right? We talked about, and I talked about being on a roller coaster. New York, we play well, then Green Bay, boom. Let's just play well, okay? And let's do it every game, and a consistent play. So that's what we're looking for, not just October, but all the way through for the rest of the season. Let's make people beat us. Let's not, have penalties. Let's not have free runners, or let's not have missed assignments, okay? Let's just – because when we do what we're supposed to do, we're very hard to move the ball on. But when we give them big chunks, all right, now we have to go down there and play hero ball, which we don't need to be able to do.
And I asked Coach Quinn this question on Monday about Bobby Wagner. Can you share what Bobby Wagner brings to this defense on game day?
Yeah, he's a coach on the field. That's what he is. He has a calm composure about himself. That if something is not right, he can make it right. He's a tackling machine. So if the ball is in between the alleys, it's going to be hard to get away from him. And he really should have had an interception this last game too. The quarterback just put it in a bad spot, but he can really catch the ball. He's just a phenomenal football player, and he's a better person, So I think the people that have been around him in the building, what type of man he is, and he's just a really, really stand-up person.
Hey, Joe. Trey Amos, you mentioned he was one of the guys that graded out well in this game.
Trey? Yes. Okay.
I feel like because from the moment he got here, he seemed to be playing at a pretty good clip and has not seemingly fluctuated, that we don't this is a rookie doing what he is doing. What has impressed you or what has intrigued you with what he's done here so far through these 5 games?
Through the 5 games and through just his time here, his poise. He does not walk around like a rookie. He does not play like a rookie. We haven't protected him one bit. We haven't rolled a coverage to him. And he just takes every assignment and goes with it. If somebody does catch the ball on him, which he hasn't given up many, it doesn't shake him. And so when he plays outside the number, especially in the press game, he's really good. They really don't target him. And so I've been pleased with him, man. But just the way that he's very mature, and he's a quiet kid, but he's a smart kid, so he retains things really, really well. So you don't have to tell him multiple times. You know, he really gets it. And sometimes rookies they don't get it on a global scale.
And with regards to Jordan, you talked back in May about how you wanted to use him more last year when the other teams were going with 12 and 13 personnel, but then he got hurt and so on. Obviously, the Chargers gave you that opportunity, and he played more than he had, or as many snaps as he had combined. What did you kind of see from that? Was it sort of a bit of a one-off because of what the Chargers do, or is this something maybe he's going forward, he'll be out there more?
You know, sometimes the offense will dictate on certain people's play time, but what I saw was a kid that went out there and played really fast. He played physical, assignment free ball, and so no mistakes from that standpoint. So, you know, Chicago's a 12 personnel team too, so you can have high expectations for him to be out there in this game as well, because he's a young guy that can run. He's just right now he's behind two really good players, Bobby and Frankie. So it's hard to just take them off the field and our two linebacker defenses. So we've created some three linebacker defenses that gives him opportunities to play.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
How you doing?
Doing good. When you have a player, obviously what you want all your guys playing full speed all the time. When you have a player who sometimes his full speed either takes him out of a play or over pursues a play, ends up missing a tackle, something like that, how do you kind of help that guy, whether it's in practice or mentally, play full speed, but also kind of play balanced, a little bit more under control so that they can make those plays a little bit more
we talk
consistent?
about running to the ball with a purpose, not just running to the ball. Run to the ball with a purpose, and so make sure that, all right, if I have somebody on the outside of me, I'm running to the inside hip. If I'm the outside person, I'm leveraging and I'm not letting the ball, beat my leverage ever. But we want to run hard all the time, but it has to be with a purpose, okay? I'm not just running blindly. We understand how certain offensive players, if they're going to try to, jab step or, if they're going to try to leave you, we talk about all their moves, and you have to understand, okay, what does this offensive player do, and how do I get him down? What's the best way of tackling? We have a tackle plan for every offensive player, and you have to be able to retain it and use it and go. That's part of being in the NFL.
With Dorrance, he's gotten a lot of attention for the sacks. I think it's 5 so far this year. What's most impressed you about his play this year that doesn't show up on the stat sheet?
He's playing the run too, and so he's a complete player. Yes, he's pressuring the quarterback at a high clip. He's sacking the quarterback, which is needed. But he plays the run really well. I mean, he sets edges. When he's a 6 technique, the tight end can't block him. He rips off a block. So I've been pleased with his complete game. He's just not a pass rusher. He is a defensive end, a high-level defensive end, and pleased with how he's been playing.
But generally speaking, you guys have done pretty well in third down and red zone situations, but it seems like early downs might be where teams are kind of extending drives a little bit more. Where do you think is kind of the next step for you guys to, get teams in kind of disadvantageous situations early on in drives?
Yeah, to jump into that a little bit more, some of it's second down, because at first down we've been pretty good. Some of the second and longs in the games that we lost, we weren't very good there, but generally we've been solid. As long as we don't give up the chunk explosive, it's been hard to move the ball on us. So, but I did dive into that, because the two games that we lost, second and 7+, we weren't as strong. First down, we got them into those second and 7+, but we weren't as strong on those. And now they made it 3rd and 1, where the team is more apt to run the ball and going into the Raider game, we were number 1 in third down, and now I think we're in the teens somewhere. So when you don't defend the second down as well, now your third down numbers go down a little bit.
Usual areas, second and longs, usually offenses don't do well in a situation. Have you been able to pinpoint?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the 3 games that we won, we did well in those. The 2 that we lost, it's just different things. We had a missed tackle here and a missed tackle there. It wasn't anything schematically that they did or that we did. It was just didn't play well on those certain plays. 'Cause like I said, we went through and looked at every one of them.
Where have you seen your defense's greatest improvement against the run, and where do you think there's still room to get better in that area?
Yeah, it's been difficult for teams to run the ball between the tackles. I think our defensive tackles, our interior guys have played really well. Our whole defensive line, I think, has played well. People have had some success with non-running back runs, getting reverses. The quarterback pulled it in this last game and ran for, I think, 21. But when people have tried to run the ball in between the tackles with either traps or whams or any pull schemes, the guys interiorly, J.K. and Payne and Eddie, they've done a really nice job of knocking it back. So we need to improve on the non running back runs. All right, guys, y'all have a great one.